Hello, everyone. It's GT time. I'm your moderator, Kyle Bossman, and joining us, as always, is our uniquely talented and knowledgeable panel, including Brandon Jones.
Third time's a charm.
Daniel Bloodworth.
Hey.
In the super seat this week, Michael Huber.
Hello.
And making this all happen is Ian Hink.
Hi.
Hey.
Nice. He did the lowers.
I got the lower.
This is our third attempt, as Brandon said, but I think this is the right one. I have a good feeling about this intro.
Good vibes.
Hubert, let's keep it rolling with good vibes. You are in the super seat this week, and
Yes.
I need to know something from you.
What is the question?
What is the best animal?
Moose.
Yeah.
A moose. Now I remember. Okay, so we're in Yosemite.
Sure.
We're like 10 years old. My brother's like 13. We're driving through Yosemite, and all I wanted to do was see a moose. And we pull over to the side of the road, and there's a moose like really far. And all I wanted to do was wait there till it got closer. And my parents were like, "No, we gotta go. We gotta go." But it was right over there in the distance.
What kind of distance? How far are we talking?
Like 300 yards, so pretty
Oh, so
far
it's pretty
off.
tiny.
It's pretty small.
Yeah.
And all I wanted to do was just wait there. I'm like, no, it'll come closer. I'm like, we gotta go. I'll always remember that.
Oh, that's the end of the story.
That's the end of the story. I've never seen a moose close up.
Hubert, we got to get you a moose, dude.
I know.
You didn't prepare your moose calls?
No.
I do.
You didn't bring your moose flares?
I need some bullet points, though, of like what makes moose the best.
Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Sure.
Lovable. Jolly.
Yeah.
You just look at a moose. You feel no animosity
Actually,
for this
they're-
creature.
They're pretty mean.
Really?
I mean, they do have those horns for a reason.
Well, they're
honestly.
like,
yeah.
if you mess with a moose, they will destroy
yeah,
you.
if you mess with a moose.
I mean, if
key
you like
phrase
go
there.
near a moose, it will destroy you.
It just wants to be left alone.
They're huge.
It's just hanging out.
I love he said it has no animosity, because I do. You get those vibes though,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
They don't seem like violent creatures.
Just wants to be left alone.
Sure.
So I'm into him.
What is a female moose called? Audience challenge.
It's probably just a cow or something, but yeah.
Yeah, let us know what a female moose is called. I'm very curious about that. I want to know what a moose loves. Do you know what I mean? I want to know what it travels with.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to corrections. Begin corrections music, please. This week we have no corrections. Again, I'm on media blackout until I finish Metal Gear Solid 5. I've not read your comments from last week's episode. I'm positive we made dozens of mistakes, but we're all off the hook. End correction music.
Oh, no. That's the first time I've heard that. Oh, no.
That's it. But that's it. I'll have it beaten next week, and so we'll be corrected again. What's wrong? What?
No, it's a whole new feeling now. It's a whole new era.
You're off the hook,
Like I
Brandon.
can just spout whatever nonsense I want to.
Yeah,
Oh, wait,
yeah.
no. Correction's back next week.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed it.
You missed that.
I missed the golden era.
We said a lot of nonsense last week. We
Okay.
absolutely did. I did want to give credit, though, to us for calling out XCOM 2 as a prime candidate for delay. We said that's a prime candidate for delay. And it turned out immediately after our show went live, the next day, it was delayed to February. Werehogs go to Ben, who said, imagine if XCOM 2 comes out in February. So he gets 2 werehogs for that. That was a great call, Ben.
Female moose is indeed called a cow. Male is a bull.
Oh.
There it is.
So a female moose is still a moose. We
Yeah.
just think of those horns every time we think of the word moose.
It's a bull moose or a cow moose.
Cool. Good to know.
There's, say mooses, right? It's like deer. It's like just 1 deer, 2 deer, 3
Correct.
Yeah.
deer.
Although
4
apparently
moose.
fish and fishes are both acceptable.
Right.
Yeah, both acceptable. I don't like those. It's like, yeah, both of them.
It's
Like
like
toward
commit,
or towards, whatever you want to
commit
do.
you
It's like,
stupid
what?
living
Come on.
language.
I know. I'd love having
A
options.
theater
Yeah,
with
you
an
got
RE or
options.
an ER, just do whatever. No, let's figure this out.
So we have another interesting episode this week.
Okay.
We had another weird one. I got to share something
Because Kyle's not reading the news.
because I'm not reading the news. However, interesting factoid: for the first time ever in GT Time history, we had 0 thumbs downs on GameTrailers.com.
Positivity.
I feel like
Jolly.
we did something
Jolly.
right
That's
last week.
jolly. You kept
Yeah.
it fast and loose.
But now I'm back, so.
So give us your thumbs downs. So here's what we're doing this week. Last week we talked about the games that are left to come out this year. The games we're hyped for, what we anticipate out of those games. Today I want to talk about the GOTY So Far. I want to talk about the great games that have already come out this year. Because partially, because it's this sort of halfway point. I know it's not half of the year, but it's just sort of, we have this onslaught of the huge games that are coming on. I think a lot of these games might get swept under the rug when we have our actual GOTY conversations at the end of the year. So I'd like to take a moment to
I'm
appreciate.
not sure. I think they're all very much on the forefront of people's minds. Actually,
We'll see.
I don't think this is the year that things get forgotten.
I think this will be a very telling conversation.
Yeah. It'll be cool. It'll be cool to come back and see how we feel about these at the end of the year.
You can certainly get an idea of how much Ian influences the Game of the Year awards at the end of the year, which is
I don't need to even talk.
not very much.
Going to
'cause
win.
he's usually
I'm
having,
going to
like-
get steamrolled. I'm not going to be around.
So yeah, that's
Wait,
what I want
you
to
won't
do.
be here?
I probably won't.
I've been dreading this conversation
We should have him early.
with Goaties because Bloodworth's going to be all like, Witcher 3, and we're all going to be like, that game sucks.
Let's get to it. Let's get into this conversation now. We're having that conversation here on the show live. It's exciting. What I did is I went to GameRankings.com. I pulled I think 12 games that are basically 80% and above, and we're gonna go through them descending order. And of course, Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain is at the top of that list right now. Want to talk about Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain? Is that game GOTY? Do we agree
No.
with Game Rankings? Do we agree with
I'm
the press
still
at large?
in rapping, so I don't know.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm
I
almost refuse to talk about it.
Yeah, I finished it, so I don't really want to give those thoughts to you, Kyle, out
Yeah,
of respect.
I get you.
Out of
but
just base quality?
I
Out of
will-
just saying, like,
Yeah.
Like,
We
that's
can
a
be
spoiler?
general. Yeah.
it is not my game of the year, personally.
It is kind of a spoiler because it seems like everyone's like, Goaty, and then it's like,
Yeah.
less Goaty as you play it.
Yeah,
That
the
is-
only way I could talk about this is if I spoil it, so I'll let you guys talk.
Cool.
I mean, I'm like 40
guess.
hours in.
Good
and
Super
I
C
think it's
guess.
not Goaty.
I'm all in on the other ones.
Brandon, I mean, have you played Metal Gear Solid 5 at this point? Will you play Metal Gear Solid 5?
I will play Metal Gear Solid 5 before the end of the year.
Uh-huh.
I might not have time for it this month, but maybe.
Then
maybe
it's not
October,
happening.
November.
Dude, if you don't play it this month, it's out.
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah.
Boat's
How does that work?
Because there's so many other games you
Yeah,
have to
you're
play.
at the dock. Metal Gear is leaving, Jones. There it goes.
And a whole more ships are coming in.
Yeah.
Like Star Wars is coming
Yep.
in. All the games you have to review are
Yeah.
coming in.
Yeah.
Skylanders is pulling in and saying, "Hi, Brandon."
Lego Dimensions.
Yeah,
the other
yeah.
ones,
It's, you have to-
Fallout. Yeah.
Yeah, you get Fallout, dude. Yeah, you got to play it this
You got to play it
month.
before Fallout.
Okay, I'll get it done for the end of this month.
Because if Brandon Jones has Fallout and Phantom Pain, you're jumping on Fallout.
To me, it's easily top 5, maybe even top 3 of the year. I just as my prediction of the games we're going to be talking about.
Yeah. I think it is that. I mean, we'll move on. We'll get to the more obscure ones. But yeah, I think that one's a lock for top 5, probably.
Yeah.
Let's move on to probably what is another lock, The Witcher 3. The Wild Hunt.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Blood. You said you're going to get steamrolled. I assume because this is your pick for GOTY. You think this is Game of the Year, most likely. Certainly Game of the Year so far. Why?
It just has so many different aspects to it that I really love. I feel like it works really well as like a solid like adventure game in terms of, like all the dialogue choice and everything in there. Like, yeah, they actually made all that matter. They put it together a great story. Each act really changes up the feel of the game. Like at first you're running around in the swamps and after 10 hours or so, he's like, oh, I got how this game's gonna go down. And then you go into the city and you're no longer like fighting monsters, but you're like dealing with like crime lords and stuff. And then later in the game, you go from being like really solo to like having this whole entourage of people that you're interacting with, and it really changes up how the game feels and keeps you involved. And then just the fact that it's such a large game, but yet like the environments still all feel like somebody put attention into those environments. And even when I was 60, 80 hours into it, I was seeing new places that was like, this is like unlike anything I've seen in the game so far.
I've got a lot to say about this game
Okay.
because I'm a huge Witcher fan. I love The Witcher. I love The Witcher 3. And if you know me, I speak in hyperbole quite often. But definitively, The Witcher 3 has some of the best things I've ever seen in video games.
Whoa.
The side quests specifically are hands down the greatest I have ever had the option to do. Okay, like the writing, the variety, the characters you interact with, the objectives you do, those and the monster hunts are just incredible. But on the flip side, because of all of that, it took away from the urgency I felt for the main story. The main story is you're hunting down Ciri, you're trying to catch up to her. Just the way the main story is presented, it is supposed to have an urgency to it. The Wild Hunt is coming, the end of the world, all of this. And it's like, no. I'm going to go help this guy on his farm and go do all this. And by the time I had done all of that beautiful stuff, anytime I went back to the main story, it didn't have an impact on me. And that played out through the end of the game. You know, when I finished the game, it was kind of like, okay, it's done. It didn't have that feeling. And the biggest deal breaker for me is combat. Combat is just, it's lacking. It is an average combat system. Dodging in the beginning is kind of cool while you're fighting mobs and low skill enemies, and it just never changed throughout. When you're fighting very powerful enemies or giant beasts, it's kind of just square, dodge, square.
Blood, I need a counterpoint to that. Is combat square, dodge?
I think it can become that, especially if, like Huber, you're playing all of these different side quests, because that's where you get your experience from. Mm-hmm. And so that is one thing that I've definitely seen more of in my second playthrough, is that it does become easy to get over leveled. And so all of these nuances with potions and signs and everything, it can kind of become lost because you get so over leveled that I don't need to do that.
You're jacked up. Before we move on,
I have a counterpoint to that counterpoint.
Okay.
I don't even think that the combat system, and I mean, I'm even more hyperbole than Huber, so just, But to me, the combat system is it's not just square. It's just not tight enough. Mm-hmm. Like, the targeting of enemies is splashy, and the things that I intend to do don't directly happen. It feels really loose. Like, moving the character feels really splashy, it has too much loose motion.
I'm so mad right now that we're doing our GOTY talks and we're already talking bad things about our second game. We're talking about why these games are great. And
I said the side quests that game is so incredible. That world, those environments
in that game is amazing.
Oh my god, every conversation in that game is just a pleasure.
And playing through Mad Max now, I'm loving the experience, but you go talk to a random wasteland person in Mad Max, and they have the same exact animation. They just kind of dull, lifeless look on their face, and the script is just kind of oh, hey, go do that. It's just so generic. And
the writing in The Witcher,
the people that
every
you
person
pop
you
up,
talk
that
to.
you're just you are such an isolated, amazing character. Mm-hmm. Clearly, the person voicing you had a field day with this dialogue, and so exciting to go do this to a fault, because you get back to them wait, what was I even doing here? I don't remember
well, and then even just the way it's sold too, in terms of the eye contact and the animation and every little detail about those characters. Yeah.
Great. I'm glad we got to spin it back around onto a positive end.
Also glitchy as hell.
Oh, glitchy as hell.
That game did not
and
work.
A lot of games have been glitching in the last couple of years, and I've dodged those.
This is the most glitchy game.
This
God.
game did some funky
This tried to play at launch. Witcher 1 and 2 plagued with problems. They both had enhanced editions. This Witcher 3 clearly will have one. They're still patching it months later. Couldn't play for a week because of the no XP bug.
Right.
And then
morally couldn't play.
Non-spoilery, couldn't complete a quest for a guy because it was bugged, and that came back later and negatively affected my play. Couldn't open a switch on a wall. Switch right there wouldn't let me pull the switch.
There was a cutscene that happened that set up an entire thing that just didn't play. I heard a bunch of sounds, and it was just Geralt's face going. And then this mission started, and I was like, I have no idea what is going on.
I refuse to let this podcast become things that we don't like about The Witcher, so we're moving on. We're talking about...
You started this conversation.
Love it. What I think is another lock, Bloodborne.
GOTY.
Bloodborne came out this year.
GOTY, no question.
We forgot that it came out this year?
It's to me, I kind of do. You know what I mean? It's been what a crazy year already. Bloodborne came out this year.
Hearthstone won Game of the Year last year because the entire office was obsessed with it, and
the entire office?
Most of the office was obsessed with it.
The obsession of the few made it so obsessed.
I played it last night before I went to bed. I played it this morning. I think the game's just gotten better and better. I don't have any
no
reservations.
We're talking about
Bloodborne,
Brandon.
Yeah,
but Bloodborne to me is the Hearthstone of this year, where it's just kind of it just swept the office. It was something that when that DLC comes out,
it swept the office more than Hearthstone.
There's no question. Yeah, but
I mean, we literally got a copy for every person on staff.
It was the
right.
difference between like looking back at the year and looking back at the launch. Like it swept us up for that 3-week period. You know, like we were all just totally into it. Whereas Hearthstone just like kept coming back and back and back. Like it was something that
it's still Bloodborne is still.
oh sure, yeah. When that DLC drops, we'll
I
jump
mean,
right
I'm
into
still
it.
like I think about it almost every day.
Me too. Me
and
too.
I play it pretty regularly.
Yeah.
I'm at the end of New Game. What the hell? I'm at the end of New Game plus. I think.
Wow.
Ian,
Got to be ready for that DLC.
Hold on. I want to make sure this is real or if this is hyperbole. You said I think about it nearly every day. Is that true?
Yeah.
I agree. Ian, Brad, and myself have platinumed that game. We beat it 3, 4, 5 times. I'm playing Metal Gear. I'm playing Witcher. All the time. I just think about, maybe I should just hop back in Bloodborne and just kill some things.
Uh-huh.
I just want to kill things in Bloodborne because it is so fun to just be in that world, and the combat is so incredibly tight and just made Dark Souls look like combat wise made
slog through
made Dark
Jello.
Souls look like a prototype because Bloodborne combat is near perfect.
I think one of the most interesting Bloodborne stories is Brandon Jones's.
Love it.
which not only is me, but extends through friends that I have that are also like, yeah, Dark Souls, meh. Like that. I would get together with them and be like, like let's figure this out. I don't understand this series. Like, here's what I don't like about it. They're like, yeah, I tried it too, and I also didn't like it. So then, like, I played Bloodborne, I fall in love with it. Then I go over like to their place, bring Bloodborne over, and I'm like taking them through it, and they're like, slowly like, yeah, okay, oh, whoa, look at that thing. Like the first time I saw one of the giant guys, like, and I got to that point where I'm like, that guy wasn't there before. And this thing's just like towering over, and like just really like picking out those fun moments.
And you've New Game Plused
becoming,
it.
yeah, and becoming as obsessed with it as I was.
Brandon's pro
Like,
at Bloodborne.
To me, it was the second time I fought the Bloodstained Beast, and I knew the fight, and I knew it going in. And like the first time, I like saw it at a distance and got all scared and like killed me once, and then I'm like, okay, wait a minute. And then the second playthrough, I got it, and then the third playthrough, I beat him. New Game Plus, I literally ran at him when it loaded, and I wasn't even sitting down. Remember, I was standing, and I was like screaming at the television, like, "Let's do this!" And I one-shotted him because I knew that fight. Like I was like, I've gotten past that point.
How
Brandon uses the term one shot to mean
Yeah.
he beat it without dying.
Right.
Not one shot in the actual use
I
of
did
the
think
phrase.
of that. Like when you just crit hit and he's dead, one shot.
when you started the game, Brandon, were you not having fun in the very beginning because you didn't play Dark Souls, and Bloodborne's intense difficulty? Were you frustrated? Because a lot of people will try it, they don't get it at first, and they kind of put it down. But I find that feeling of learning it, and finally when it clicks, like I had this feeling with StarCraft I always talk about. StarCraft, I would just get killed and killed and killed, and it was like, oh God, I hate this. One day it's just like, okay, I get this now. Everything just clicks and you look at it differently. Did you have a similar...
When you go all the way down the stairs and you finally hit the street and there's that mob that comes by you on the left.
Dude, yeah.
If you go loop around that side, do you turn past that mob down at the bottom, and they have the like R2D2 with arms and the big axes, like those just big like dome-shaped guys. It looks like the guy from The Incredibles. They just this big
executioner guy?
like big
Yeah.
trash cans with giant arms and axes. Like I remember
one
I
axe.
remember I lost about 40 minutes on that guy. Just like keep going back down. I'm like, this guy's just popping out. Like, he's in this area that I'm in. I should be able to beat him. And then I finally just gave up. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not high enough level. And then I forgot about him. And I remember like 2.5 hours later, like going back and just wiping the floor with this guy. And then realizing like, okay, it's because I leveled up, but it's also because I can just see that stuff coming.
Yeah. You skilled up.
I thankfully played the beginning of the game at PSX and at PAX. So like I had played that intro. So I was able to kind of like, okay, I know what's coming. I know.
My
I can
first
pay
night with the
attention.
game is my favorite one. That first night of getting owned. Getting owned so hard. Dying many, many, many times.
Yeah.
It's romantic in my mind. Like, I love that
And
night.
just that, on like Witcher and Phantom Pain and all these games are more story-driven styles. Bloodborne, there were so many moments where all of us were just sharing what happened. I mean, the couple weeks where that game came out, so many times we're like, oh, if you do this, this happens, or oh, did you go fight this boss? Like, so many incredible moments where we were all just so passionate and bonding over this. It was just an incredible moment of the year that I will never forget.
And I'm sorry, just really quick, if you're watching this and you're like still not sold, if you're into horror games at all, like you absolutely have to play
Or
this. Because, like,
Lovecraft.
you will get the thrill you get out of like actually conquering one of these things, just staring at something and being like, I don't even understand what I'm looking at right now, and actually like killing it, like actually like figuring out its attack patterns and like how to get away from it and like how to kill it. Nothing. There's no Silent Hill. All these horror games that I love. Like the level of survival is just like on a whole different level.
Also, if you hate horror games, just put on a podcast.
Oh God.
Kyle just ruins everything.
So our next game.
Wait.
Okay, we do need Ian.
We
I
to
should
have
go.
just
two
end it on
things
Ian.
to say about this real quick.
That's fair because it is Ian's favorite.
Well, at PAX, I was talking with one of the guys behind Lara Croft Go, and we were having a really cool discussion about the difference between lore and story.
Sure.
And how lore you can discover on your own. And to me, I think that's a much stronger way to do video games because it fits the medium. You create the story yourself because you're playing it. It's not just being fed to you. And then something else that I realized, pretty much every video game that I like has this quality. And Bloodborne has it. My sister has it. Sorry. It's just switched into Star Wars. But Bloodborne has it. Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2 have it. A few indie games have it. And Metal Gear has it with guns. But it's that what I do has a direct influence on what happens. Like, if I pull the trigger in Metal Gear, I shoot once. You know? If I swing my sword in Bloodborne, I swing my sword in Bloodborne. Whereas, like, Batman, Mordor, Witcher 3, I'm just hitting buttons and like watching shit happen. It doesn't feel like I'm really in the pilot seat, you know?
Yeah, you're gonna love Call of Duty, dude.
Well, I mean, it's a shooter, but like, I mean, that's why I like Destiny. Destiny
You're
has
right. Actually,
really
you
good
do like Destiny.
controls, and
Yeah.
like you're very directly in control of that. I don't like Call of Duty because I just don't like it, but like, you know what I mean?
I do
don't
get that.
know.
I get actually now. I understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah, like it feels tight and has actual control, whereas these other games are like playing a movie.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. We're talking about GOTYs right now. Our next game that we're about to talk about, stark contrast to Bloodborne, where everyone in the office played this game. We're talking about Pillars of Eternity, in which I think only one of us
Only
have
Ben.
played it.
Only
No one in
Ben.
this room has played
Yeah.
this.
And this game is reviewed very highly.
Yeah.
This is probably going to win some GOTYs across the world.
And this is a Kickstarter project, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The problem, this came out like right after Divinity, and I had already put 25, 30 hours into Divinity Original
No,
Sin.
Yeah.
Divinity was a while ago last year.
Yeah.
Pillars was.
They were close enough for
It was-
games of
yeah.
this kind. I feel
yeah,
like.
yeah.
Well, I mean, that goes into the problem that we've been kind of talking about quite a bit, is that there's so many big games
I
this
know.
year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, it's really hard because, I want to play Pillars, but there's so many other huge games on my list already that it's hard. Whereas, say something like, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. It's like, all right, jump into that for a night or two, and I've got it.
Which brings me to a good question here, actually.
Okay.
Because, we are a journalistic website that reviews games and will stamp something with a Game of the Year award, and it will go out to millions of people that said, oh, that's their Game of the Year. And when we get a game like this, the fact that no one in the office has really played it, is that fair? Is it fair to kind of sweep this under the rug when, we get a game like Bloodborne where everyone is so excited about it, so everyone played it because we were kind of feeding off each other. But I bet if we played this game, it would be incredible.
Here's my response to that, because I think it's a good question. Pillars of Eternity, I think it's fair to say, is not inaccessible, but it's more inaccessible than a lot of other games. And because of that, I think that's why it reviews higher. You know what I mean? The people who will put time into this game will enjoy it. It's easy for us to dump on a game that's short because we didn't take that much investment. I honestly think that, well, that's not fair. But I think Pillars of Eternity does benefit from that, from being less accessible, from just you have to be hardcore to even play through this game. It benefits from that. And I think, honestly, that's part of why it scores so highly. I mean, I'm positive it's great, but inaccessibility is the reason why we haven't played that game.
Well, and that raises the question about, does interest factor into something's quality? Like, if something
Sure.
is uninteresting to a wide number of people, does that make it worse? I don't know. Probably not. But,
No.
I'm not as interested in Hearthstone as some of the other people in this office, but I can definitely acknowledge that it's a very well-made card game.
And I
Right.
think that's the line. Like if we didn't do sports last year because we just didn't, we just couldn't weigh in on that. That was not, you wouldn't have wanted our, sports game of the year. Like that just wouldn't have been an interesting conversation. But role-playing games, sure. Like Ben Moore can talk for 10 minutes and I got it. Like I'm not nearly as much as I would be to actually make an educated decision, which is why sometimes we try to just isolate that to people that do have direct exposure in the game. But I think that's the line. If you notice some categories like, oh, Game Toes didn't do that category this year, like that's why, because we countered that. Because it wasn't just that we hadn't
sports
experienced
is
it, and only
really-
one person had.
Yeah, sports is one of the worst ones because it's, like what you play Madden and NBA, but then Matt Blair plays NHL. It's like it's the sports you like, and then we have this dilemma where like, well, nobody plays soccer, so do we keep freelancing these games out, or we just say, yeah, that's just not something that we play.
So yeah, we had the same issue with Dragon Age, Inquisition, and Divinity when we, those two games came head to head. It was really up to Ben to kind of like parse that and figure it out.
Yeah, I trust Ben. I bet he'll help us a lot with this discussion. He'll make a good presentation for us. Hopefully.
Its fate rests on Ben Moore's shoulders.
Single-handedly,
And
yeah.
there were a lot of games that I at least checked out for. I mean, not everybody's gone to the Rapture, but your big game last year. Hello.
Oh,
Which
Talos
one?
Principle.
Talos
Oh,
Principle.
Talos
Yeah, yeah.
Principle, yeah.
Like that was good. I spent like 2 straight nights, just like.
Yeah, it was the same way. I was like, I gotta play a
4
ton
to
of
5
this
hours, like
because
burning
Ian's
through
over the
game.
moon. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I was very
those games will come up,
enthusiastic.
which is kind of. It's actually really nice to have this conversation because we can pick out like, okay, good to know, like that.
Yeah. I like having this conversation.
MGS5 before the end of September. Got it.
Absolutely. So let's move on. That's a strange one to appear this high on the list, I think, but people love it. Ori and the Blind Forest. Blood, you reviewed this game. Do you think it has potential to be a GOTY conversation? In the GOTY conversation?
I don't think it'll be that high. I mean, it'll definitely be in some conversations, and I think it's a great game. It feels really good. Yeah, it's. I think it doesn't quite do as much to blow me away. I think at the same time, I think that like you don't see that much variety in like the character designs and stuff as you initially think you might.
What does that mean? Like, so it starts off like you're just, it throws a lot of stuff at you, and then you just see those things repeated throughout the game. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, not so much, but it's it's like a bunch of like blobby things, like shootings. You know what I mean? It's
I
like,
do know what you mean. Yeah.
What genre would this be in? If
Oh,
it
this is
wasn't
like a
out for GOTY?
Metroidvania, yeah, like 2D platformer.
So
action.
probably platforming. It would probably be up for platformer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Elise
In terms-
Williams loves this game.
Yeah.
She loves it. It is one of her
And some
favorite
people-
games of the year.
Yeah.
Some people find it to be really hard, which I've found to be challenging, but like not brutal. But
It might take platformer. It's hard to imagine Super Mario Maker beating it in my. Well, I don't know.
Mario Maker is different though. It's almost like it's about building the levels.
Yeah, exactly. It's so weird. It depends on the quality of the levels that people build for it.
Yeah.
It's so strange. Yeah, I guess we'll see that. But yeah, I think Ori's got a good chance to be in a lot of conversations. And I bet some outlets will give it to Ori. I bet.
I think it was, for me, I haven't played it because it was like an accessibility thing. You were saying it was on Xbox One. I know it's on PC now too, right?
Yeah, I think
It's
it might have
always
PC
been
at
on
the same
PC.
day. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So then no, you can't use that argument.
I
But buy it on your PC, bro.
like a platforming game on my PC. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, this is a console.
It's a
hold on.
console game.
Explain that. Explain that before we move on. What that means to you.
Just plug in a controller, dude.
I do.
I
I
don't have a
want
360
to
controller.
hear the definition of like the difference, like why a platformer is weird on PC.
Because for PC, I usually use mouse and keyboard.
Mhm.
Like, my brain has a weird time of plugging a controller into a PC. I don't know. I think
act of it.
like a racing game. I wouldn't play a racing game on PC.
Really?
Yeah,
That's very interesting to me.
yeah.
Weird.
I don't know.
It's all about the
I'm
couch for me. Like on this game, you want to be sitting on a couch with a controller in your hands, not sitting upright in front of a thing, going like, "Oh, where is yours?"
So yeah, actually, with all video games, I like to be on the couch.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
For me, yeah, like my first PC, like I had a joystick with it. So like a controller on a PC is like no big deal to me at all. That's why it's always
Wing
funny.
Commander.
I just don't have a easy one to plug in.
You gotta invest. All right. Another interesting thing. I actually thought this game would review higher at the beginning of the year. This is Batman: Arkham Knight.
I played that.
All right, Brandon. So talk about Batman: Arkham
Don't have to
Knight.
play that one before the end of September.
How do you think its legacy will last throughout the end of the year? Like, where is it now, and where do you think it'll be at the end of the year?
Well, I mean, this is action adventure. This is where we would put Metal Gear, right?
Yeah.
Metal Gear wins. There you go.
Yeah.
Thanks, Batman. It was fun. Like I will always, be thankful to Rocksteady for doing something really surprising with the last game for the same reason that I scored Arkham Origins higher than I probably should have. I went into that game expecting one thing, and there were just a couple isolated moments in there that really blew my mind as a Batman fan, where I was just like, wow, I've never seen that type of story told with Batman. I was not expecting you to do that, to bring that character back, to tie that thing in. And this game, had like 4 or 5 of those moments. And was just it was a head trip. It was real dark, and it was a lot more mature than I was expecting it to be. And it's something where I don't think you would have enjoyed it as much had you not played at least Asylum and Arkham Knight, Arkham City. So I appreciated it. It was one of the highest scores I've given in a long time. I gave that a 9. I'm trying to think of anything in the past that I gave a 9 or above. But I think it was something where it's I will take this and I will cherish it, Rocksteady. Thank you. I don't see you winning a lot of awards this year, but thank you for that.
So what's the why not? You just said a lot of glowing things. What is the why not there?
This year for action adventure was just awesome. We just got a lot of great third person
Jones,
running around and clearing maps.
I want to go into this. I really want to go into this.
Dig in. What's going on?
Because you and I talk about Batman daily.
The character.
Yes.
Okay.
My favorite thing in life is Batman and video games, let alone a Batman video game. But when I finished this game, I was done.
Yeah, Just Cause 3 is probably gonna.
Why though?
At the end of the year, we'll probably love more.
I want to get into that though. Why? I loved every second of this game. I did all the Riddler trophies, 100%ed it. Got that crazy, ridiculous secret ending, and for a week and a half, 2 weeks, I was just all in on this game, obsessed. It was just a magical feeling, and haven't thought about it since.
Yeah.
And it didn't have that impact, and I think the story was just inconsistent.
I mean, you think about where Assassin's Creed is now. What if we got 3 more Arkham games? You're just oh god, and that's where we are with Assassins. And so I think we're just kind of right at the precipice of that, of realizing I played this game 3 times already, but all of it. I don't even want to spoil it now, even though it's been a couple months later. But
I like that.
There are some story elements, especially if you haven't played it at all and you don't know. There's a couple cool things in there.
To me, I mean, this is just for where I'm coming from, but for me, the first thing I think of to address Huber's thing is because this game it's just story. It's not as much. I mean, there is lore, but it's story, and once you have it, you have it. You're done. And then also to me, I mean, this is where I'm coming from. The combat in this game, and the gameplay is, and Assassin's Creed 2 and Mordor is it's for me it's so unengaging that I played the game for 5 minutes and I was I'm never playing this. But I just wonder for you, Huber, especially, I don't know, maybe you, Jones, but do you think that might have something to do with it, that you do feel less attached to it because it has this kind of hands-off, more video game?
I think it's
style?
just for me, it's the repetitiveness of the format of the game.
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
Okay, yeah.
Especially with now, even though it was the most legitimate excuse for there not being anyone around, this time where they were actually no, everyone got up and left. It's not like Origins where it's
right.
Christmas, they're all staying in. It's right, because that's what you do on Christmas.
I wish they had gone the route of people in the city.
Yeah.
You're Batman. Maybe you don't have an objective at the time. You're just Batman going through the city, stopping muggers, purse snatchers. You don't have a mission. You're just going to be Batman tonight and kind of advance the story that way.
I think that's what made Arkham Asylum so good. That is, you're just being Batman tonight.
Yeah.
That was a really cool thing.
And I think Rocksteady realized limitations, realized that game they couldn't make, or it wasn't the time for it. And so they're okay, let's wrap this Arkham thing up, and now let's go make Justice League. Or
I would love for them to make a joke. Final Fantasy XIV made some jokes about how the game used to be bad and now it's good. They make actual meta jokes.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if they found some way in Batman, one of the Batmans, to just be the processor can't handle that many people in town, but make it somehow so that it makes sense in context.
Or that Riddler sets up a fake Gotham that he's got to go through, and it's programmed to simulate the Arkham games.
I do want to say about Batman before moving on. I think it, amongst all the games we're going to talk about today, I think it has some of the most technically impressive stuff I've seen.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Just the way it doesn't care about zooming in. You go straight into Batman's face and way out to the end of the map consistently. There's no loading screens. This just whole world exists. and persist. And,
And not to
that's
mention,
what's so cool
not to
about
mention
it.
detective mode that you can like see. You know, you hear somebody and it's not like, oh, that's just random, thug. It's like, no, it's that thug right there. He's talking to that guy standing next to him.
Yeah.
And so it's really fun to pick out. Like, just I know a lot of guys. People thought the man bat thing was underwhelming, but it was just fun that you had to actually cue on hearing him. Like I'd
Yeah.
be looking for something else and hear a screech and be like, oh, where is he? And like he's actually there in real time. Like you
Love
can see
stuff
the
like that.
Batwing like actually in real time flying around the city.
This is completely unrelated, but I was amazed. We recently jumped back into one of the animated series where the first episode had a weird intro where Superman was super in it, and then Man Bat was like the first villain.
Man Bat was the first that was the first
very-
episode of the
the
animated
pilot.
series.
Yeah.
The
I was
only one where Batman
whoa,
bleeds.
That's your first
Yeah.
one? That's crazy.
Blood comes out of Batman's mouth.
Is it
Yeah.
good?
Nice.
That's a good show.
That's a damn good,
Good show.
Good
Again,
shows.
good writing. Yeah, we can wrap up on that one. Yeah, I'll just think about the animated series.
I mean, Batman Arkham Knight could have used some of that writing, to be
Could
honest.
have used Paul Dini.
Yep.
It's funny you say that.
Yeah.
Paul
Yeah.
Dini was on the first 2 games and didn't
Yeah.
partake in Arkham Knight.
Could have used some Paul Dini.
Yep.
Rocket League. Hey, we're talking about Rocket League in like a GOTY show. What is this? Why did this game
Yeah.
review so highly?
Zeitgeist.
What
No,
is
I'm
this
just-
game? What is it? What is Rocket League?
This game is pure talent and finesse.
Yeah.
Like and it's not the kind of thing where like you have to. It's like you play Street Fighter and you have to like, okay, let me get all the moves down and memorize what I have to do. It's like you got it or you don't.
Yeah.
There's some accidental stuff. Like if one people are on one side and the ball just got away and just like we can't get to it in time and you got a lucky goal, but like not often. Like if you're gonna get destroyed by a team, there's not much you can do about that. Even if you yourself are a great player, like if everyone's not coordinating.
Well, and it's got that classic thing like Go, the old Chinese game, like easy to learn, hard to master.
Yeah.
This game is so intimidating, but boy, do I respect it.
Just
It
like
is-
replay a Palooza, just
Yeah.
like going back and seeing just the crazy goals people get and the saves. Like there's some gifs I've seen that just like I would stare at for 5 minutes. Like I can't believe the car was right, like because they have the rim of the goal, so you can actually see it completely envelop the vehicle and realize like that tiny little sliver of a point was that inch was like the difference between that goal or not, and a huge explosion and all the cars go flying everywhere.
And in a past couple years of just technical issues and patches and does this game work? Can I connect online? There have been no problems with Rocket League,
Oh, hey, hold on.
Couple connectivity issues,
Sure.
but it's been ironed out pretty quickly. The
Yeah.
game is very polished, and I love the aesthetic.
Also, no like microtransactions. No power. No, there's no way to spend extra money on Rocket League right now. I think you can buy you can buy like hats and things maybe.
They're coming
But
out
it's-
with a supercharged mode or something like that too.
Really? What is
Or
that?
Like, it's a DLC that I think costs money.
I think what I mean to say is that it's simple.
Right.
There's you can change what your car looks like and everything, but on the field everyone is
In-game,
the same.
yeah.
Everyone's
It's all
on the same
in-game.
on the field, which is
Do
what
you-
I really like.
Do you think this game would have been as hyped if it weren't for PS Plus?
Good question.
Do you think we would even be talking about this game right now, or
No.
anyone would
I'm
be?
gonna say, well, shoot, the reviews would be here. I mean,
Yeah.
I pulled this stuff from Game Rankings.
I
So,
think
mean,
way fewer. I think you were joking, but like Zeitgeist is a big deal with this game. Like, I played this game because Justin and Jelmo was like, "This game is insane. Play it," and it was free on PSN.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Okay, no risk." I downloaded it, played it a few times. Not my thing really, but like I acknowledge that it's super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
like that's why.
yeah, we played a local split screen after church on Sunday. It's
Really?
like- yeah, my tech director brought it in.
Awesome.
That's so cool.
And-
Local split screen.
So-
That warms my heart.
So we have to do sports games
Split
now,
screen is
bud.
great.
yeah.
We have to have a sports
On that.
category because this is a sports.
Do you think
game.
this fits in with sports?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, this is
playing-
a sports game.
Yeah,
cool.
You are playing
Yeah.
the sport of soccer with cars.
Yeah, but I mean, sports games are simulation. This is totally bizarre, and I think actually really lends to what Ian says. Like you are in complete control of your car at all points. Just even like your flips and turns, man. Interesting, really cool game. Heroes of the Storm is our next game. Hubert, why do people like Heroes of the Storm? This is a.
That would take a very long time to answer.
Can we call it a MOBA at first? Can
It's
we? At
an-
least,
We can.
It's a simpler MOBA.
Exactly. It is. Blizzard has a great way of not being intimidating. I know StarCraft 2 is very intimidating, but just every Blizzard game has a wide range of skill levels. If you are terrible at StarCraft or Heroes of the Storm or Hearthstone, you will be ranked accordingly, and you can have a good time. Like Heroes of the Storm, losing is still fun. If I play a Dota match or a League of Legends match, and I'm in there for 60 minutes or 70 minutes, and I lose, it's crushing.
What makes losing fun?
Because in Heroes of the Storm, even if you're losing, you're still getting kills. The balance of this game is it's I don't want to say always, but it is each match is close. It leaves room for you to come back.
Yeah, you can come back.
You can come back. You're never fully out of it, and the matches are very short. They've been increasing as time goes on. They just did a study where matches have gone from 15 to 20 minutes. Now they're around 20 to 25 as players are kind of getting better.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just accessible. It's just I can hop in. It's the one game this year where I can look to Ben or I can look to Brad or my friend that lives across the country. Hey, quick game of Heroes of the Storm. It's just such an accessible.
And they
game.
say yes, and then you hop in and play.
Yeah,
Cool.
Also, like the Blizzard pedigree of it, this thing runs really well on lots of machines, which is nice. But to me, the big thing as far as MOBAs go, like other MOBAs are all in one arena. It's one thing. It's just win.
Yeah.
This one has the different
So many
zones,
maps.
The different maps each have a different kind of activity or goal, which I think really lends a lot to it, and it lends a lot more. It makes it a lot more accessible to more people.
And it's way more focused on teamwork. I know, obviously, Dota and League of Legends, you get up to the top levels and there's heavy teamwork, but this is live and die with your team. You cannot go solo. I mean, there are some characters like the Arbiter that are kind of just like in the back of the base, but even he helps his teammates by giving them buffs. It is, you go into a team fight with your team and with the numbers and with the right engagement, or you're done. There's no Rambo renegade guy just going off in the jungle doing his own thing. It's like, we got to be on the same page and have a plan, and I love that.
Also, the game is super intense.
Well, here's
like nonstop
intense.
craziness.
Yeah.
Here's my last question:
Yeah.
Is MOBAs get shafted when it comes to GOTY discussions? Does this game have a chance of getting even discussed?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so. For as much as I love it, I don't think it'll be in the conversation, really.
Why is that?
It's just it kind of exists in its own world, It's I don't know.
Brandon,
It's too cute.
is it too cute? Brandon, like, does this game have a chance? Like, why would we outrule MOBAs in particular as a category? Do you know what I mean? What would a MOBA have to do to get in the Game of the Year discussion?
It ironically feels, again, a little bit like Hearthstone. It's like a pastime of ours, but is this something that really holds up, to something that, that wrecked me emotionally, like MGS5 did, or, that I was, is so, technical, like Bloodborne, or, but it's just like, damn, this thing is just fun to play.
Yeah.
I think one of the greatest strengths of it is the game was people got their hands on Heroes forever ago, so it was really a long time that they kept slowly introducing new characters and balancing it. So yeah, it just kind of feels like it's just kind of like a way of life, just like, oh yeah, Heroes is there, and it's just one of the tenets of something that they have, but it's not something that, like, when I bring up, we talk about fun ways to play it, not ways that we're kind of blown away by, like, how really amazing it is and like how necessary it is and how like my life would be incomplete without this game this year.
It's just good old fashioned fun, nothing more, nothing less. It is just a very, very fun game. Especially when you play with friends, and that's it.
Yeah, I think just like Rocket League, I think good old-fashioned fun games don't do well at GOTYs. Everyone wants to be like, oh, well, we think this game is great.
Yeah.
And, whereas we are, intelligent. And so, I do think they get shafted hard. Here's a game that doesn't play to the intelligence crowd is Mortal Kombat X. Still in there, still in that 80 above range. Reviewed
Sold
really
well.
I want to make a bold guess, and I'm going to say this game does not do well at the end of the year. I think this game will have not a great legacy.
Sure.
I don't think it'll be in any.
Yeah.
I forgot all about it.
Unless someone has a fighting game category, I don't think it'll come up at all.
Yeah.
But the problem is what other fighting games would be in the category
Right.
this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll win if there's a fighting game category.
We'll give it to that DBZ game on 3DS. Sweet.
Was Guilty Gear XV Ace 572 whatever.
I
Pretty
think
sure that
this
was the end of
might-
last year.
There might be a new one at the end of the, who knows?
I don't remember.
Yeah, we do have to start talking about games quickly. So Mortal Kombat X probably doesn't get a lot of discussion. I don't know. The story was stupid. And it was good stupid in Mortal Kombat. The game that came before this was good stupid.
Yeah, and had an impact on the legacy of that franchise. And
Yeah.
this kind of took it in a weird direction.
Bad
that
stupid, yeah.
Didn't really have any. It was inconsequential.
Yeah, and so like when that thing that worked so great for Mortal Kombat isn't there, and I mean I guess it works well competitively, but I don't know, it's tough for Mortal Kombat. Again, it's a weird genre to ever be in discussions. Project Cars, racing games, very seldom in discussions for GOTY. And Blood, I want to talk to you about this. I think Project Cars will disappear by the end of the year because of the racing games that are coming after it.
Yeah, I mean it's certainly more of a niche thing. It's a simulator. It's a crowdfunded thing, and I think that's one of the things that comes across in it is that in a lot of ways it does feel like it like it doesn't have that budget backing it, and they put it in the right places in terms of how good the cars look and the weather. I think is probably one of its biggest strengths. I just remember like one of the times where the game like really opened up for me is where I'm driving along and like this raindrops start coming in on the windshield. I was like, oh no, don't do this to me right now.
Because it makes racing harder.
Oh yeah, because you get the track's gonna get slippery and everything, and you have to learn how to handle your car differently. But it is very like hard to break into that, like even like on the PC, like even just to get the controller to not feel super twitchy, it's like I had to like look up somebody's guide and like, okay, I need to set this dead zone here and the sensitivity there, and like and like
Really
like nail in the controller, so that like it actually just it felt right. And there's like a lot of little things like that where it's like, okay, I'm what do I need to do right now? Like what? So
you mean progression-wise within the game?
Yeah.
I'll get you. Yeah, you need that.
Question.
Yeah.
This is pardon my ignorance. This is not the one that was called like Next Car Game that you like go on crazy ramps and stuff.
right. This is Project Cars has always
Different.
been called Project Cars.
Next
did they
car
change?
game will be GOTY.
Is that out?
Well, that's like Rocket League. That's just another
Did they
example.
change the name or?
It's called
Yeah.
Wreckfest,
That's
Wreckfest.
right.
Oh, okay.
but I'm pretty sure it's still in early access.
I think it's still a racing game, which really bums me out. The most fun part of that game was that weird room that had the giant spider. Moving on, we got to talk about another dumb fun game, Splatoon.
Oh yeah, that game's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. Will it be awesome at the end of the year? I mean, is it awesome now? Should we be discussing it in this conversation?
It's been growing. That's the thing. Is
Yeah.
like they keep adding little tweaks and new things to it.
New modes, even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think definitely something I'd like to put more time into.
Hubert gave me a less optimistic face.
Just that exact statement that Bloodworth said, it's something I'd like to put a little more time into. I think that's telling because I thought the same thing when Splatoon came out. It's like, oh, I want to play this. I just never felt the drive to play too much. I played when it came out a little bit. And just after the first couple matches, it was like kind of just rinse and repeat.
Single player's great though. Like in terms of like platforming, I might put this above Ori after playing Ori. Actually, I really like that the platforming aspect of Splatoon, and I like that even in matches. When you talk about it being fun, just traversing this world can be fun because it's a whole other thing you've never done in any games before, and that part's kind of interesting. But Brandon, do you think it has a chance? Will we even talk about this game again?
This is the Wii U exclusive of the year. I mean, right?
No. What about
else?
Star Fox?
I don't know. We'll see.
That's not coming out this year.
We've got
this-
Star
this
Fox and
Mario
Xenoblade,
Maker.
but
Oh, Xenoblade,
I
that's
think
right.
I think Splatoon has a pretty strong chance of being up there.
Do we still
Yeah.
do the platform exclusive ones?
Absolutely,
yeah.
we do.
Yeah.
I was thinking about
And
should we do a
multi-platform's its own
family
thing.
category?
Ooh,
We can talk about Infinity if we do family.
Infinity, Splatoon might be in there.
I've never really cared for the family thing, but yeah.
yeah. I feel like if a family game is good, it'll rank amongst the best
Yeah.
games.
That's never going to be true.
Well, it should.
It's basically a shitty game category.
Right, 'cause
It's like these
yeah.
games aren't good, so we give them to kids.
Right, family games shouldn't be bad. You know what I mean?
Right,
They should be just as
exactly.
good as any other game. That's kind of what we talked about this week.
Bloodborne's a
on
good
Final
family
Boss
game. It's fine.
It's fine, actually. Yeah.
My
It's
kids will
fine.
play it.
Rocket League's a family game.
I was actually very surprised to see this next game just barely made it in the 80 and above club. Until Dawn.
Yeah, baby.
I was shocked. I'm shocked this game reviewed well. I was so
Yeah.
sure it wouldn't review well.
I reviewed it and I was shocked it reviewed well.
Yeah. So talk to that, Blood. What do you mean by that?
It just does a really good job with things that are usually like perjurative, right? Like quick time events, like, oh, that that game's awful. That's QuickTime events, you know, and like long cutscenes, like and like all of these things that on paper, when you describe how the game works to somebody, doesn't sound like it should be a great game, but it really is, because almost entirely because it all matters. Like, you're not gonna repeat most of those QuickTime events, because if you fail, then you're just dead.
Yeah.
So
that's why I love this game so much.
That's a good
stakes.
point. That's a good distinction. That's a great distinction.
That's the best part about this game, is that everything you do matters, and the stakes are always there. It is like everything has a consequence, and like with the QuickTime events specifically, your life is on the line when you are doing a QuickTime event, and that feeling is, I mean, hell, even in Bloodborne, you know, I'm at a boss, and it's like, well, if I die, I can just do it again. You know, you can't do that in Until Dawn. If you die, you are dead.
Yeah.
I love that.
And there are moments too, like, you know, one of my characters that I killed him was like, you know, and I had already known at that point that was my character, so I had a little bit more of an attachment, like for when we were going to do the
live stream.
The live stream.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was just the dumbest decision. It's like a complete dumb horror movie decision that I just made.
Was it opening the trapdoor?
Yeah.
The
thing to me about this game that puts it above the other QTE games like Heavy Rain or Beyond Two Souls or Order 19 whatever, 18 whatever.
All right.
What?
1886.
I wouldn't call it a QTE game.
That's a QTE game.
Oh boy.
The thing to me is like form and function are both married in this.
Yeah.
Like QTEs and stuff like that are ridiculous and dumb and campy and bad, but this game wants to be, to some extent, you know, it's calling upon those horror movie tropes of B movies, you know, quote unquote. And I think that this is a high quality game.
Yeah.
But like the attitude of the game fits the way that you play this game.
Until
And so
Dawn's
it
a
makes
video
it
game.
Fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's not trying to be all serious like Heavy Rain.
I definitely think they made the game they wanted to make. It seems like it seems like a complete vision, down to the game being absolutely gorgeous, because you'd have to pull off the character models, you know, and the performances of everybody, even the good and the bad performances, you know,
And I bet when they
intentional
made
or
this game,
otherwise.
they're like, it's going to be an 8, and it's going to be awesome, and it totally is.
Nobody shoots for an 8. I can't believe that. I mean, publishers shoot for 8s, but I don't want to believe any developer shoots for an 8.
I mean,
when you're making a B movie game, you want to be.
Sure.
Or there might be that spot, you know, not at the beginning of development, but you know, when you're getting near the end, you're about a year away. It's like, well, let's take an 8 and walk away from this thing. Like,
but it's like it's awesome. Because it's an 8, it's a 10. Because it's like super just
that makes sense
low
to me.
stakes, it's just what it is.
They might quote you on that, Ian.
Yeah.
Be careful.
Because it's an 8, it's a 10. Yeah, when I like to judge games, does it accomplish everything it sets out to do? And I think Until Dawn does succeed in that fashion. Before we move on, whoa, we got a little scroll wheel here. Before we move on, I want to give anybody a chance to mention some games that you think are missing from this
Huber's
list.
ready for this.
He's ready.
Yeah.
What game did we not talk about that deserves to be talked about?
It's a game
in
no one
Game
is,
of the Year
It's
discussions?
a game no one is talking about. And
Okay.
it's offensive.
What?
Life is Strange.
Oh,
Whoa.
that's a good pick.
You're right. That's an oversight, isn't it?
It's going to get swept under the rug. And another one you didn't bring up, Resident Evil Revelations 2, was one of the best Resident Evil games to me since.
Actually, I think that was in the 80 and above club
4.
year. That was just an oversight on my part. Yeah.
And I wonder if it has to do with the episodic structure.
Yeah.
That the game does not come out. You know, it kind of just
Right.
here and here and here and
You're
here.
right. I
and
think
here.
that's it.
And
Well, Game of Thrones we didn't consider last year for that reason,
Yeah.
although
Well,
one of
'cause
them had come out. So
we
like,
don't review them until they're all done, right?
Well, that's the funny thing is we just recently this year changed that policy. It's like, let's just wait till the whole thing's up. And since then, none of those episodic games have completely come out.
Yeah.
but on
For
the-
us to actually to cash in on
Well,
that
Revelations
idea.
2 has, right? Revelations 2
Yeah.
is wrapped.
But the thing is, Walking Dead, when that came out, that won Game of the Year a ton of places. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know, maybe because it was kind of the first of its kind, but I'm bummed that no one's talking about Life is Strange because I love it.
Yeah. Should we do like a best adventure game? Do you think?
Oh,
do
we
you
should
think-
definitely do a best adventure game.
Yeah. Do you think it would compete there?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is it better than King's Quest?
I haven't had the chance to play King's Quest
Uh-huh.
yet.
But that won't be done before the end of the year.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously not. Yeah, that is crazy.
But it is a unique game. It makes me feel connected to a game world and the characters, and I feel it makes me really emotional, that game. I feel sad and happy and confused and lost, and not a lot of games do that. Like, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. It evokes a lot of emotion from me.
Cool.
So.
Great pick. Blood, Brandon, is there anything we missed we didn't discuss?
I'm always with these kinds of things. I'm terrible at point blank questions, and
Oh,
like if
sure.
I look at a list, I'm like, oh crap.
No, Blood, if nothing comes
But-
to you, that means it's not GOTY. You know what I mean? If nothing comes to you, it means
No,
that you didn't love it.
My brain is bad that way.
Okay. Brandon, did we not mention any games that
I can't believe
throughout
Evolve
this
came
year.
out this year. Was that January?
Yeah,
It was
I think
earlier
February.
this year.
I think it's
What
February.
what a sneeze and a hurricane that was.
Yeah. That won't even be on best shooters. Evolve is gone.
I have
It's
faith
a
in
poor game.
I have faith in Rainbow Six because I know it's a similar structure of a game.
Uh-huh.
But I think with Evolve, there were no stakes. Rainbow Six looks like it has stakes. I was thinking about those two games. I'm like, I hope Rainbow Six doesn't just come out and disappear like Evolve did.
Yeah.
But
I think the rewards for getting better at Rainbow Six Siege will be better
Yeah.
than Evolve.
Another game that I think will be gone is Battlefield Hardline. I think that will just
It's
disappear.
already-
It's already gone.
Yeah.
It might as well not have come out.
I think it was actually on NPDs last month because maybe there was a sale or something. But yeah, I think that, like, critically speaking, I think it'll disappear.
It's not a game, but the DLC for Talos Principle was really cool.
Yeah, I overlooked all DLCs. I didn't include those at all in this
Yeah.
discussion. But yeah, it was. I mean, we do best DLC, don't we, for GOTY? But yeah.
sad you didn't bring up a little game for yourself, Kyle Bossman.
What game are you referring to?
Riptide GP2.
Technically, Riptide GP2 started on mobile platforms last year,
Okay.
so I couldn't bring it up.
Okay.
Maybe Tembo. I like
Tembo.
Tembo a lot, though Tembo's got so many problems. I wouldn't say critically it's a great game, but yeah, I like Tembo a lot.
Adventures of Pip was last year. Right?
I think it was this year. That came out
Everything's
this
come
year.
out so many times.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
come
know.
out like 8
Yeah.
times.
Oh, I see. Yeah, fun year so far. I think we've had a very healthy year so far, and to think that we have 3 or 4 more months of games to come is pretty exciting.
Just those weird gaps, man.
Yeah, weird summer, right? It feels like nothing came out,
Big
and then you
gap,
go through this
and then
list.
next 3 months.
Yeah,
I'm
crazy.
ready.
Fun place to be. Let's move on to, well, you're the one who started this conversation. I did a funny thing. So obviously I'm not reading the comments because I'm afraid of spoilers.
You should be.
So I went back to one of the first months that we ever even did while you're the one who started this conversation. November of last year. Damiani's still on the couch at this point. It's a really funny episode. Actually, the question asked to us is, do we think Shenmue 3 will happen? And we're all like, no, it's impossible for that to happen. It's so funny to look back at that episode. But I found it really funny. You're the one who started this conversation. This is from Phrase a Phrase. Will Blizzard's Overwatch overshadow Gearbox's Battleborn?
Yes.
Definitively.
Yes. So obviously I couldn't use that. It's too old. Like, it's just so funny to think like 10 months ago, Battleborn had a chance. And now we all know it's like, you're buried already.
Yeah.
You're so done, Battleborn. So I went back to 3 episodes ago. This is from Mackie Sean. We've actually plucked one from Mackie Sean before, but I like this question. It's a long one, but we'll have a short answer. Question for Will, you're the one who started this conversation. With the upcoming release of Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain and its very public restructuring of Kojima Productions, I'd like to know from the panel, does knowing too much about the development cycle of a game affect your perception or enjoyment of it when you actually sit down to play the game? I feel like sometimes indie games are viewed more positively because it is well known that only a few people are pouring their life into making it, whereas AAA games are judged harder because of the money and manpower that is behind its development. Especially for the panel, you all know more than most about the ups and downs of development cycles, including delays, switching studios, reshuffling developers, etc. So for all of you, does the knowledge of what was behind the scenes for a game affect your opinion of it, or is it easy to let the game stand for itself no matter what kind of development it had and judge it based on its merit alone as a video game? Mackie Sean, thank you for the question.
Great question.
Do you feel that? Do you ever feel like you know too much behind the scenes to enjoy a game?
I mean, I am. So, anytime I go into a review specifically, I silence everything, go in, do not think about anything. But it is almost impossible for me to not get excited when a director I love is behind a game, like Shinji Mikami on The Evil Within.
Are you thinking about Shinji Mikami as you play the game?
I'm seeing his influence, absolutely, and I would say it definitely. I would say it affects. It affects me.
Yeah.
Only a few directors that I love have that impact on me, like Miyazaki, Dark Souls. I knew he didn't really work on Dark Souls 2, and it felt that way. It felt like he was not as heavily involved, whereas you play Bloodborne, and it's like, okay, he's back, he's here.
You were thinking that as you played Bloodborne. You think of the man Miyazaki.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
You can tell.
Brandon,
Yeah.
does that happen with you when you were like playing a game? Are you ever like thinking about not even just the people, but the decisions behind it? Are you able to just fully get into a game, or are you thinking about its development sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always thinking about development, but I don't know if it ever influences me, like, as to say that I would be more excited about a project or less excited because I heard that it was tumultuous. Like, I can almost guarantee when playing MGS5, like, I'm not going to be thinking at all about everything that went down with
I
Kojima
didn't.
and everything. Like,
No. I thought about Kojima a little bit,
He
but
makes you because he puts his name in the beginning and
Yeah.
end of every chapter.
that's the thing. It affects me before I play the game, mostly. Like, if I see somebody is making a game, I am infinitely more excited than, if a studio that there's no big director behind it, like, oh, that game looks cool. But if someone shows a game like Mikami or Miyazaki or Kojima, like, that is a big, big deal to me.
I think for me it does a little bit, like with Metal Gear 5, like, and I think Ben's theory about the whole meltdown is like Kojima wanted the game to be bigger and they wouldn't let him. They're like, it has to come out. So like that is on my mind. But like another angle of this that I think about is when a developer, the easiest thing is when they change from east to west. I think of Silent Hill, like when Silent Hill Homecoming came out, or even with 4 a little bit, people were like, it's not gonna be good, and then like it sort of couldn't. I mean, it didn't earn it, but like it had to go even further then to overcome that hurdle. You know what I mean? Like the pedigree is gone. Like Dark Souls 2 is
Yeah.
like that because
Like, is it similar when you play a Rockstar game, like, or a Blizzard game? Like, each studio has their vibe. Is that kind of the question too?
So I have 2 personal examples of this that I feel like I have. One is GTA 5.
Yeah.
I think about the writers a lot. In a lot of games, I think about writers.
Yeah.
And I just think, you did a bad job, writer, when I hear a line. I don't think about that character saying that thing. I think
Yeah.
about, oh, these are bad writers.
Yeah.
And so that, I definitely, like, the development does come in there. I don't often see, like, polygons. You know what I mean? When I see a wall, I do accept that as a wall, but for some reason dialogue is just like, you wrote that. And then the other one I was thinking of, I totally forgot. Wind Waker. I absolutely think about the development of Wind Waker when I play that game, is because you think of what it could have been the whole time. And so, yeah, like, even though you're in the world, you're above Hyrule, you're soaring the oceans, I still think of, like, oh, what could have been? What did they throw away? What blueprints were here? And so, yeah, I think that definitely does influence my enjoyment of that game.
I think a big thing for me is goals, because to me that affects a lot when I'm actually trying to figure out the score of something. It's like, what were they trying to do? Like, what was Until Dawn trying to do? This, like, could this game have been better? Yeah, but does it need to be like, do they really set out and achieve what they wanted to do? And so that may, trip me up a little bit if I like meet with a developer before a game comes out and they're like, well, what we really wanted to do was this. It's like, oh, well, now that you planted that in my head, now I'm going to be playing your game and thinking, did you do it? Like, were you just, did you clearly like have these pie in the sky visions that your team or just the technology couldn't create? And so it's like, that's a little tough to get out of your head. Just kind of like, well, you said that you wanted to make the ultimate blank experience of all time.
And you're thinking about that as you
not
play the
it
game.
at all. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you're in there, it's in your brain. I think our answer is sometimes it's unavoidable, even for us.
Yeah.
But we try our best to just.
a game where I don't think about anything other than it just being a masterpiece?
What?
Super Mario Galaxy 2.
Wow.
Never once am I thinking about anything other than hopping on those platforms.
And what's crazy about those Galaxy games? I mean, those aren't the same guys that made
Different teams?
64 and Sunshine.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, those they made a DK Jungle Beat. Like
Yeah.
that was, and you can actually see that influence. If you played that game, you can like, oh yeah,
That's
this
cool.
is kind of the same art style in certain areas. Yeah,
Jungle Beat is so cool. That is a cool game.
yeah.
Weird. You play it with bongos.
One other thing I thought of too, and thinking about Metal Gear and stuff, I think like what Heber said about Blizzard or whatever, I do at least come in with a certain expectation of quality. So like Metal Gear, I've seen 2 or 3 little visual glitches, and those are like the exception to the rule. I'm like, oh man, hey, wow, somebody missed this, you know?
Yeah.
Like, hey,
Video game.
step it up. Like, but whereas like games like Skyrim or like Fallout 3 is going to be a hot mess.
4.
4, whatever. Thank you. And I'm going to be like, yeah, well, you
Yeah.
know, like, yeah, Bethesda doesn't, they can't make video games. Like,
I like ending on a controversial statement. We got to move on. It's time for bets. Here's what we're doing this week. Super Mario Maker releases on Friday. How many playthroughs will there be for the top-rated level at this time next week? So basically, they rank levels. You can give them stars, and it also tracks how many people have played through the level, got to the end. How many people will have gotten to the end of the highest-rated level at this point next week? Who is first to reveal? It is, Huber, you're right. You're prone. You're ready to go. How many people will have beaten the best level?
Jumbo Jet 747.
Great answer.
Nice.
Blood?
Is it a completely random number? 1604.
Great.
Oh, I'll be lower than that, 1,400.
Okay. And then I guess I have the high one. I think that 9,993 people will have played the best level.
I like this.
All right. Huber likes
Yeah,
this. He got the low
I think
bet.
it'll be
low.
low. I think it'll
All
be
right,
low.
let me lock that in. Okay. That was a tough. There's no research you could do for that one. You're just shooting in the dark with that one. We'll see. Here's what happened with last week's bet. I wrote it in a kind of funny way. Metal Gear Solid 5 released on Tuesday. How many Twitter followers will Mad Max game have at this time? It was 2 weeks ago. They had 7,516 at the time. And here's how the bets went down. I bet 7,916. I bet they only would get 400. Elise in the super seat bet 8,300. Blood bet 7,800. And Ben in your seat, Brandon Jones, bet 500.
Just a troll?
Just to sabotage you.
Whoa!
Yeah, it was dirty.
Why are you sabotaging Joe?
I don't
Super
know.
seat.
I guess he has loyal to the super seat, but yeah, he just
Whoa.
wanted to bury you, Brandon.
Well, if anyone other than the
Unforeseen.
super seat wins, it should be Jones.
But it means I got to get here. You know,
Yeah,
if I want that number to go up, I got to be in attendance.
You got to be in the
Wow.
seat.
If there's going to be some big Just Cause 3 event on a Thursday, and I'm going to be like, I don't know.
I gotta go to
Dude,
GT
I got to be
time.
on GT time. Otherwise, I'm not going to get those
points.
wins. Not going to get those numbers.
Spite.
So it turns out we all underestimated this. The actual number of followers, 11,664. They picked up a bunch. That means Super Seat gets the point.
Awesome.
So Huber, what you get is not only that point, but you get the opportunity to promote any video you want to, and also your Twitter handle. But I'm going to ask you to hold off on that because we have our first ever viewer challenge.
Right.
To anybody watching this as a video, we have a challenge for you. We share this studio with Movie Fights, another show, and so they have really cool props in here. We do not know who these portraits are of. If you can identify these,
well, there's Iron Man, Silver Surfer, and Cap on the right. We know that.
I think that's actually Iceman.
The guy on the left is a wannabe Deathstroke, but it's not Deathstroke.
He's smiling.
Because this is Marvel.
Yeah, I'm assuming these are all
all of
Marvel
them, yeah.
characters. Yeah.
But the Rorschach wannabe
Could it be the
with the
Vision?
gas mask.
On the
Perhaps.
left?
So please,
I have no idea.
if you are watching this video, please in the comments identify those two characters on the left. We'll give you some credit for
You
it.
think that's Iceman?
I think that's Iceman, yeah.
Iceman.
I don't know.
Silver
I think that's Silver
Surfer.
Surfer.
And then also chime in on the Iceman Silver Surfer debate.
Surfer.
Please chime in there.
it's the line by his ear that makes him seem like Iceman.
Yeah.
'Cause what is that? Why would that be there if that's Silver Surfer?
Plus, also, I think Silver Surfer is all white eyes. I don't think he gets pupils.
oh.
Yeah, I think you're wrong.
Okay, so let us know about those things. But yeah, Huber, let me hand over the microphone to you. And
You're not going to tell him how many points he has?
Oh, yeah, sure. Blood, thanks for being on top of that. The Super Seat now has 11 points, right behind Bloodworth with 13. Jones has 5 with a lightning bolt. I have 7 points. That's where we stand. Cool.
I'm at Michael P. Huber. Right after lunch, Ben Moore, Matt Blair, Brad Ellis, and myself are going to have an intimate 60-plus minute long spoiler cast
Keep it
of
under
the
60.
Phantom Pain.
60 plus.
60.
Who the
it
hell is shooting that?
You are.
Set it and
No, I'm
forget
not.
it. Set it and forget it.
Don will, I guess.
We are going to dive deep into this game, it's going to be a fantastic discussion. As soon as I beat it, I was calling Ben last night, and so
I think I'm gonna watch it after I beat the game. I'll watch
yeah,
this.
it's going to be an awesome discussion.
Yeah,
We'll have another one.
We are all super excited for it. All of us are really passionate and excited for it. So that should go up sometime this week.
Cool.
Cool.
And then also your trademark sign off. And you can say before that point, thanks for watching and everything.
It's time for Huber's Q. Live right now, Huber's Q. Brandon Jones, Phantom Pain. Before Fallout 4, Brandon Jones is required to finish Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, to completion, or else he is barred. He is barred from Game of the Year conversations.
You don't have the authority to do that.
Metal
Okay.
Gear Solid Phantom Pain.
I'm just standing
Is-
outside.
I'm
the
gonna
room
back
crying.
that. I'll back that authority.
If the Phantom Pain is in a category, his vote is void.
And I gotta register online and get the achievement, so you can check. If I don't have that, that's gonna be the
I'll be
qualifier.
watching your trophies.
Huber, that's
Wow.
everything we should be doing with the final word on this podcast is just like call someone out. That's so funny.
Amanda
Anything
comes
else,
in the
though?
garage like, "Are you going to bed, honey?" I'm just like, fear. Like, I gotta finish.
Huber says it.
Oh no, good fun.
He was gonna fire me if I don't finish this.
No, that's it. It's been a great show. Thanks for having me. We'll end there. Goodbye.
I love.